Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of Daily Creative Challenge. I am super excited to be doing today's session because we're building out the foundation for our plant care app. Hello to the people in the chat. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Bruce. Hey, Sam. Hey, Kathuiska? I hope I got it right. Gus Martin is ready for the challenge. Let's go. We got Chris and Jennifer Poole. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Super excited again. Why am I so excited? It's because it's the beginning, right? That's like when we start to feel really excited about designing and sharing, collaborating, getting all that feedback. So let's ride that happy wave. Let me show you a little bit about the Daily Creative Challenge, what it consists of. Oh, my screen looks a little kooky dooky. Well, hold on. You're only seeing the corner of my screen. 1 second. Let me fix this. I'm gonna pause just 1 second. Hey everyone, sorry, I am just gonna do a few things to just change things. I have to just change my screen out. All right, should be good now. Let me know in the chat if this is all good now. How is it for you guys? Can you see my full screen now? Yay, yay, thanks Paco. So, let's get into it. The challenge started yesterday. I did a welcome stream just introducing you to Adobe XD, what the challenge is all about. So how it works is you'll receive a challenge starting today. Here's the first challenge. Yay, so cute with a little mood board, a little plant. And so you'll receive that challenge. You'll have the opportunity, obviously, to watch this stream and download the Adobe XD file with it. Following that, you can join the community chat, which is the Discord. Let me show you what that looks like. So Discord is where you're actually going to share your designs and get feedback. So you're going to go over here on the left-hand side where it says challenge under feedback. And this is where you're going to upload your designs to get feedback from the mentors. And I'm one of the mentors, so I'm going to be giving feedback. And also, if you haven't yet, introduce yourself into the chat. There's over 62,000 people, members of this Discord channel. So it's a great opportunity to meet people, to network, and to connect. So let's kind of just get into it, yeah? You guys should have a file that's downloaded, and it's gonna look a little bit like this. Don't look over to the right yet. It's gonna look more like this for you. And you're not gonna have everything that I'm gonna show you in my design file because this is the opportunity for you to create the foundation for your own app. Okay, so first thing here, it says the challenge prompt. So create the foundational pieces for a plant care app. Create a mood board that depicts your vision. Again, your vision. This is for you to really personalize. We're going to start to organize colors and character styles within our document assets. So I put some inspiration here for what mood boards can look like. A lot of times when you're first starting to design, you're like, well, how do I begin? What colors do I choose? What's the inspiration here? And that's what I really want to talk about today, and think about some of the strategies we can use and the tools that we can use in order for us to build that foundation. Because this is a project that we're working on for the next 2 weeks, meaning we're not having a different sort of design style every day. It's going to be one type of UI style we're using for the next 2 weeks. That's why we're spending a whole day on just building out that foundation, because we want to make sure it looks and feels good for our portfolios and our case studies that we want to share our work on. So before we get started, I'm going to just talk, if you guys missed yesterday, talk a little bit about who we're trying to build this for. So I had done a survey with about 75 responses, and I did 5 interviews with people who kill plants but don't want to kill them anymore. They want to take better care. And I put down here some of their wants, their frustrations. You guys can feel free to use some of these wants and frustrations in your own portfolios. So this came from actual real data, real interviews. And you can also come up with your own features and ideas based on these needs and pain points that I've discovered. So you don't have to use the ideas that I create. You can just use this foundation and then come up with your own awesome features for your own app and showcase that. So some of the wants that the users said is they want expert opinions. They want to take good care of living things. They want to be better organized. And they want specific dates for care. So they want to know, when am I supposed to care for my plant? What time? Like, I need to have a schedule here. Some of the frustrations they've had is they don't trust the label on the plant card. Sometimes you get that little label on there. They kind of throw it away. You forget it. They don't like long, annoying blog posts. They don't trust boring sites or hard vocabulary. And they don't want to read too much. So here are some that you guys can use. And I'll post this in the Discord as well, so you guys can have access to these needs and wants, so you can use them for your own idea, for your own app. So just have some pictures here of people taking care of plants, plus myself with a plant. I'm very proud of this plant. I'm a proud plant mama. I killed a lot of plants, but I've been pretty good about it. I also thought it'd be kind of fun to figure out for me to share some of my plant babies with you guys, and for us to play a really quick game. It's going to be less than a minute of real or fake, because I have real and fake ones, because I was such a bad plant mama that I was like, I just got to buy fake ones now. So I intermix them. All right. Pierce says this is an app that he could use. Yeah, I know. I hear you, right? I'm kind of like the target persona. So is this plant real or fake, guys? Put it in the chat what you think. This is, I think they're called hearts of or pearls, string of pearls. That's what this plant is called. Is that real or fake? Put it in the chat. As far as your question, Bruce, goes, there should be a limit, meaning you don't want to overwhelm the app with too many features. You want to be more focused and make sure the features you create are good. That's really the focus. So we got some real, we got some fake. It is, drum roll, fake. That one is fake. And I always, like, when people come over, they always think it's real. I'm like, no, it's not. What about this guy, this snake plant, real or fake? A lot of people said fake. A lot of people called me out. Yeah, Cheryl, it was fake. I have my nephew that comes over, and every time I have a new plant, he's like, real, fake, real, fake. We play this game. Some real, some fake. It's actually real. Yes. Good job, guys. You guys are good spotters. Maybe we'll play the game more with the rest of my plants tomorrow or the next day. Let's get into it. Mood boards. Have you guys ever created a mood board? Let me know in the chat. Mood boards are great for figuring out what is the feeling that you want your users to have on your site, right? So with the mood board, first thing I try to do is think about some adjectives to describe my company or the feeling I want to give. So I use the words cool, fun, friendly. Maybe that's the first thing you want to do. What's the feeling? The other thing you want to think about is who is the target audience? So I was thinking young females, kind of similar to myself. So you want to think about what is the age? Who is the audience? What's the feeling you want to give? And then from there, after you have some of those words, some of those ideas, maybe what you want to start doing is looking for images. So I look through Behance. Let me just pull it up here. I look at Behance and I go into, and I just created this, and I'll show you in just a second, my mood boards. So in Behance, you can search for things. So that's what I did initially, is I just did a ton of searching for plant apps, just the word plant, seeing what comes up. And from there, I started to create my own mood board in Behance. So this is actually something that you guys can use. You can use my own mood board if you want to, if you go to my page. Otherwise, you can do your own search and create your own mood boards as well. But I was really in the mood. I was in the mood for bright colors, for something that was vibrant, especially because I heard one of the wants from the personas was something that didn't feel boring. So I thought, let's go the opposite, and let's think about making things more fun and spunky. Messiah is not into plants. That's okay. A lot of times, oftentimes I'm not super into the product I'm designing for, but you have to find what is the passion and what is the spark. So is it thinking about how you're going to solve for someone's needs and being a problem solver? Is it really diving into trying to be playful with your UI, or trying to be much more focused on best practices? So you can kind of figure out what is the thing that you want to focus more on for this project. And it doesn't have to be the subject matter. Oftentimes it isn't when we're actually working somewhere. So here's where you can start to build up on collecting some images and styling. And what I did from there is I just took a bunch of the pictures, and I also looked at, all kinds of places, not just Behance. I was just like Googling and looking up all types of plants online. And I created this mood board, which is basically just a bunch of images on top of each other. I just dragged and dropped images into this board. And that's what you guys can do for this project, is just drag in images, maybe add some of the words that you plan on, kind of that describes the feeling you want to give, and just create this collage. If you want to, you can also just send the link in your mood board link from Behance as well, if that's a preference to you. But what I usually do is Behance is kind of like my catch-all, all of my different ideas. And then the mood board is kind of where I start to define that a little bit more. And for me, my thought was that for the vase, I was really loving like these fun vases and plant holders, like the styling, different patterns. And that's kind of what I wanted to focus my attention on, because those make me happy, like colorful planter holders. So that's kind of what I built this off of. And I found some Adobe I think this was from an Illustrator file, some patterns as well that I thought were cool that felt like a vase. So feel free to do whatever speaks to you. You can even change who the persona is, if it's an older audience, if it's guys, men who maybe men who typically don't purchase plants and want something really modern and chic. Whatever it is, feel free to have fun with this. Penny asked a good question. How big should the mood board be? Honestly, it doesn't really matter as long as it's like a rectangle shape. Here are my dimensions. It's about 1780 by 1290. Feel free to use that or anything that's of a rectangular shape. All right, cool. So once you've got that feeling, you have a couple options with color. You can start to actually just use the color picker. So here on the right hand side, my property inspector, I can go in, and if I love an image, I can take my little eyedropper and I can select a color from here. And that could be starting the basis of my colors if I really love the colors of an image. And I kind of started with that actually here as I started to take this teal, a pink, and this dark color. And that was the basis for my colors. But I want to just share a couple rules of thumb here. Here's the first one. There is not really like a set rule for colors when you're doing UI, but this is a common one, which is the 60-30-10 rule, meaning 60% of your screen should be taken over by the background color. That's the primary color. And then the secondary color is more for foreground, text, etc. And then you have your accent color, which some of us call the call to action color. And actually, I have this link, I'm putting it into the chat for you guys for some best practices around selecting colors. The thing that you don't want to do is overwhelm people with colors, using like really intense colors all throughout, and it's hard for the user's eyes to understand what's happening on the screen or what to pay attention to. So if you are someone who's like, oh my gosh, colors, this is such a struggle, kind of makes it easy to think just 3 colors and one of them being kind of a stronger call to action color. Now, a couple of websites that are great to check out, let me see if I got it here, great to check out for colors is this one. It's called coolers.co. This is one here. There is also, so actually just to let you know how this works, you can like have a certain color that you lock in, like I definitely love this color. And then you can use the space bar to like change out the colors and have different styles that you like. And then you can be like, oh, I really like this one, I'm gonna lock that one in. So that's kind of a fun one. And then of course, color.adobe.com. I love this explore page. If I like search plants, you can get color palettes that are related to these images. So this is super great. If you're like, wait, this is great. This is my inspiration. These are like kind of the base for my colors. Great. Again, you want to start to think a little bit more about, you know, that like for something like this, these are too many colors, right? And they're so dominant. We want to think about our primary color, which is typically a white or gray, is kind of is there, as well as a secondary color and the accent color. All right, 60-30-10 rule. So think about your colors, and then you'll want to add them. And I gave you guys this little artboard in your design file, where it's kind of like the basis of your design foundation, or and we call them design systems later down the road when you start building off of this. But you want to kind of have this foundation laid out somewhere. So if later on when you're working with other designers, you're all working off the same foundation. So here I have my primary color as this white, and it's a little bit of an off-white. So again, this is another best practice. Feel free, if you're more advanced, to think about it, which is not using a pure white or not using pure blacks. Those are kind of more challenging for the user's eye. So we kind of go a little bit off. So this is my white. And then I have my accent color. My strong call to action color is this bright teal. And I went kooky crazy. Like, I don't actually recommend this for beginning designers, but you know, be creative. Is I have a bunch of different secondary colors in mind that I'm using, because I went with that vase that's like really colorful as my foundation. So I'm going to use a blend of different colors for the secondary. And then for my text color, it's this dark gray. It's not completely black. So think about that as well, right? Not going full black or full white. So in order for you to start adding your colors in here, you're going to just select one of the rectangles, go into the right-hand side, into your property inspector, and you're just going to change out the hex code. Or if you are using the color picker, you can take that guy and just select something, and then there you go, there's your color. So you can just start building out your primary, secondary accent colors. It's great if you can label it like this too, so when you add it into Discord, we know which is your primary versus your secondary, etc. Cool. So the other thing I want to talk about, Roberto, I'll talk a little bit about sizing actually in just a moment, so that should help you. I'll go into that as well. We got 6-7 minutes. I'm going to cover it all. Let's do it. So first thing is, once you have your colors, by the way, this is going to change throughout your project, and that's okay, like if it does. But just have a basis to start. Don't have to think about it too much. Just spend the day thinking about it. So I can take actually all these colors, and I'm just holding Shift to hold them all. These are all my colors. Now with them all selected, I'm going over on the left-hand side into this first menu option in the bottom left-hand corner. This is my document assets. Okay. With this little flyover selected or enabled, over here where it says colors, there's a little plus sign next to it. I'm going to add those into there. So now I have all of my colors in my document assets. Now, why do I want to add them all here on the left-hand side? Does anyone have a guess in the chat? I'll explain either way. Why is because we are going to potentially make changes to our colors. And when we're working in big files with big teams, this is a best practice to learn to kind of make sure you have all your colors in here. Because if I decide I'm going to change and right click, edit this and change it to black or red, you see over here, it's going to reflect and change that color throughout my whole design. So I can go ahead and make those changes as I need to. All right, so that's why we add them on to the left-hand side. Cool. So typography, let's get into it. I wanted to also give you a couple more resources. One suggestion for best practice for typography is making sure it's readable and legible. That is the most important point. Okay, we want to make sure it's legible and there's good contrast, right? The color in the background to the color in the foreground, that those have a good contrast, right? Alpha is very easy to read. A rule of thumb is that sans serif, meaning they don't have this little, like, serif fonts have these like little nodules on the sides of the font. Typically sans serif without those is easier on the eyes. So that's recommended, especially for a lot of the body fonts we use. I'm also going to put in the chat this link to the best free fonts for apps. So there are tried and true apps that people use time and time again that are great for app design. And I recommend, especially as a beginner, to use some of the ones that are commonly used. So you already know that they're great for legibility, readability, etc. And then the other thing you might want to think about is, so we're going to talk about sizing right now. I'm going to put the link in for that. Thanks, Sam, for making these clickable. I don't know how to do that. Is the first rule of thumb is your body font, meaning like the kind of the font that you're reading the most, right? The most amount of copy typically on your site is the body font. That is between 14 and 16. Okay, so that is when you're on the right-hand side and your property inspector, it's between 14 and 16 pixels. We don't want to go under that for anything except like small little text for your icons or something like that. We can go a little bit down to 12, but 15, 16 is that base. There is another, sorry, I'm like fiddling around with my, with my little links here, but there's another link here, type scale, that I want to share with you guys in the chat as well. And here you can start to see there's different types of scales. These are the most common ones to use for your fonts. And so here I have the major third, and this is my body font, 16 pixels, or around this, 16 pixels. So if you want to go one up from that, it's about 20 pixels. One up from that is 25 to 31 pixels, 39, etc. I would say for mobile, our H1s, our biggest header, it's probably not going to be over 35 pixels. Another recommendation as we go through the app design is you can plug in your phone into with an XD, and you can see what it looks like as you're designing. So you can kind of read it. Like, does it look kind of crazy? Is it too, is the fonts like this, like where my first sentence is like taking up so much of the screen, or does it look more readable like this? This is more reader friendly, right? So I'm going to be talking a lot about UX best practices, UI best practices in the next 2 weeks as we go through doing this app. The focus is not about necessarily like making the best, most beautiful app. It's about learning as we go and being strategic and making sure that we're being thoughtful in our designs. And that's really kind of the base for the foundation for the next 2 weeks. Woo! All right, we did it. We talked about fonts. The last thing I'll mention really quickly here is the same thing with colors. You can add them on the left-hand side. We're going to do the same thing with our typography. You can grab all of these. So you created your H1, H2, etc. And then on the left-hand side, there's character styles. You're going to add the little plus button. And now you have your character styles. You can also double click to label them. So this is like body, etc. So this is what I like for you guys to do and to submit into Discord. You're going to submit your mood board and your color and typography pages. The way to export it and share is you're going to select the artboard and you're going to file, export, select it as a PNG. So that's how you're going to be able to export them and put them into the Discord channel. All right, guys, all right, guys, that's everything. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Bye.